Hello everyone, welcome to another tutorial on WxPython, which is WxPython 4 with the code name Phoenix. So WxPython is a Python bindings for Wx widgets which is running in version number 3. So this tutorial video is all about how to add text to the display, meaning in the more technical terms how to render a text onto the user computer screen. So let's start. I'll open the editor. So I created another project, WX Project 6, for this tutorial video to talk about how to render text onto the screen. So this is the same setup. How do we start how to render anything? Previous tutorial is all about how to render an image. So this tutorial is how to render text. So I have created WX app, which is inheriting the instance of WX.app and the super statement, and this is the most important, the on init function, which is actually have an instance of WX frame. WX frame is inheriting WX.frame, so minimum size is 200, and I have changed the title for all the tutorials to WxPython hyphen GUI. It was the _1, it was like this, so I have removed the _1. I've edited other files also just to have a title more generic, which is WxPython GUI. And I've requested the WX frame to show, meaning render onto the screen, and this wf.init is now ready to provide the event loop and the display rendering backend for WX frame to display onto the computer screen. There is a main path, the main statement of the Python, which is having the instance of WX app, and the main loop is running. So I have two other classes, which is WX main frame, which is WX.frame, which is inheriting the WX.frame, and the super statement is just having the parent as the parameter. So another class having WX panel, which is inheriting WX.panel, and the super statement which is having the parameter called parent. So this is the skeleton of how to begin graphical user interface development using WxPython. So we have a WX app. The WX app will be rendered inside the WX main frame. WX frame will be rendered inside the event loop of WX app, and WX panel will be rendered inside WX frame, meaning WX frame is the parent of the WX panel. And we don't need a parent for a WX frame, so parent equals none has been provided as the default argument, the value of the default argument, and the parent for the WX panel has to be provided. So first let's start creating the text object. So self dot let's create a string first, which the text needs to be displayed. So text needs to be displayed. So this is the text we'll try to render onto the screen. So now let's create the text object in WxPython, which is WX text. So this is a static text. So anything in WxPython we want to render should be static, meaning that the image of the object will be rendered onto the screen. So this is very specific to WxPython. So we create WX dot and type static. So we should see static text here. So static text. So remember in the previous tutorial we were talking about WX static bitmap. So it is a static that actually rendered. So for image static bitmap, and for text static text and static text, and we have to provide a parent. So the parent is a must in WxPython. So static text, so we have just created a object of the type static text. So we'll add the text what is there as the text string, static text dot set label text to self dot static text. So now we have provided the static text. We have to provide static string. So we have a string called WX Python is working. So we want to render this text onto the screen. So we created a static text object, and we provided the label text. What is the text string that needs to be displayed, which is the is the text string. Next we have to select what is the type of the font we want. So we create a text font object. So wx dot font we have to give the parent called self. Next we have to provide some parameters for the font, like for example what kind of font we want. So set font family. So wx dot font family Swiss. Typically this is the one that is used in WxPython. So we have to provide how what is the font size we want. For example, the text that is rendered onto the screen here in this editor is font size 12. So we just provide slightly bigger ones just for display purposes. So you can select any number of value, right from 1 to probably something like 72 might be there. So that is the biggest font, and 1 is the smallest font in general. So we got for a font set point size. So point size will provide what is the font size we want. We go for 34. So now we have just created a font object which is text font, and we have provided the font. So we just change this for the font family should be there. Set family. Okay. So family in the sense what kind of the style the text will be rendered. It can be like anything like in other font families, but in the other Vue libraries you'll have Arial, monospace, and things like that. So this is in WxPython, which is based on WxWidgets, as a default font family, which is known as the Swiss kind of a thing. So you can explore a lot of other features as well. So and depending upon the size you want to display, go for set point size, which is set to set the 24 just to have a bigger display. Let's go for 36 and see how well it displays. So we created a string with WxPython is working. We want to render this string onto the screen. So we created a static text object, and we have set the label text, what the text to be displayed to the string. Now we have to set this static text object with the font. So we created a font object. We set the family to font family Swiss, and set the point size, meaning the size of the ASCII characters, to be 36, and then we have to set the static text the font self dot text font. So we now the static text object is now complete, because we have created static text object. We created a font, we are given the font, we have set the parameters what kind of font we want. Now we have to add this font to the WX panel to render. So we create a sizer WX dot box sizer, and we have to set it for horizontal vertical. We'll 4 for horizontal, and self dot top sizer will now hold the static text object. So now the box sizer is holding the static text object. So we have to set the sizer for the panel. So we get the set sizer. So now the WX panel is ready for rendering. So just browse through the code we have just written. I created a text string. So this text string needs to be displayed. So create a static text object, and for that object you create a font and set the font for that static text object, and then create a sizer and go for horizontal or vertical as per necessity, and give that static text object to the top sizer, and the soft sizer is given as the sizer for the WX panel, and the WX panel is inheriting WX dot panel. And this is the statement that actually sets the inheritance to work properly. And we have a parameter called parent that should be provided for WX panel, and that will be inside the WX frame. So don't forget to provide the parent for static text, which is the self, which is WX panel, and for the font, which is the self, which is the WX panel itself. So now we have to create an instance inside WX frame. So WX frame is inheriting WX dot frame, and we have a super statement to create the instance of WX frame, which is inheriting WX dot frame, and the parent parameter for the WX dot frame is set to none. But for WX panel we have to provide, so we'll just come to that. So self dot panel instance, we create a panel instance which is WX panel, and we provide the parent, the self, meaning the WX main frame, which is actually inheriting WX dot frame. So we have to place the panel instance inside WX frame. So we go for box sizer, we go for a sizer. So we set it for horizontal. So if you want vertical, you can go for vertical. Have many widgets on the many widgets in the panel to be displayed, or many panels need to be rendered onto the WX frame. So we can go for vertical as per necessity. So sizer dot add self dot panel instance. So we have to set the sizer of the WX frame as the panel. So now the panel is now ready to be rendered onto the screen using the WX frame. So this class is inheriting WX dot frame, and we have a super statement. This is very important to have that inheritance to work properly, and create an instance of WX frame, which is the object type WX dot frame. So we created a WX panel instance, which is WX panel, which is this one, the class we previously created for rendering to text, and the parent called self has been provided. Then we created a box sizer of type orientation, which is WX dot horizontal. Then we place the panel instance inside the sizer, and we provided the sizer, the top sizer what we just created, as the sizer for WX main frame. So this is very important. Set sizer has to go for top sizer. So now the panel instance has been placed into the sizer, and the sizer has been provided as the main sizer for WX main frame, in the sense that the WX panel is now ready to render on WX main frame. So this is has been retained as per the previous tutorial videos. I have just edited WX GUI underscore. Instead of having underscore 1, I have edited all the .py files just to have the window title as WxPython - GUI. So there is no other changes. We just created WX panel and WX mainframe, and WX mainframe has been retained in the on init, so just to render onto the screen. So just let's run the code. We don't need OS here because we are not using any local path. Okay, so we actually provide a window icon for WX mainframe. So we just do that. So self.local path. It is very similar to the previous as tutorial videos. So it gets for current working directory. Then self dot window icon file path equals self dot local path plus / images /shield shield dot png self dot set window set icon wx dot icon self dot window local icon file path. So I have an instance of os.getSerialBuddy. This is the path that gives the current working directory where the current file is. So I have a directory called images which has the PNG image called shield. So I got that path into the window icon file path. Then the WX mainframe self. So the self here actually stands for this instance of the class, which is inheriting WX.frame. So Windows set icon. So I created an instance of WX icon and provided the file path. So let's check whether the images files are there. So this is WXProj6. So I have images file. So it's at a shield.png. So let's run it and see whether there are any issues or it runs smoothly. So on one more instance, one more important thing is where the font, the text has to be rendered, meaning the position of the text that needs to be rendered here. So the static text we provided. So let's see whether there should be a parameter there where you can set position. Go for wx.point and let's say 20, 120. So we provide a position. This position is relevant to WX panel, which is inheriting the WX.panel. So this is the position where we want to render onto the screen, which is actually relative to WX panel. So let's run it. So we have some issues. WX.font. So we don't have to provide a parent for the WX font, I think. So box sizer object is not callable. So box sizer dot add. So we have successfully rendered this screen. So as you can see, the top left corner, that shield icon is their window icon. I changed the title for WxPython -GUI _1. I removed that _1. So the title of the window is WxPython GUI, and WxPython is working is the text that we have provided here that that is actually rendered onto the screen. So you can change the text you want. So we successfully rendered. So look at the font size, because we have given 36 here, so we get the bigger window, bigger font size. So that's it for this tutorial video. I have just brush it up. So we have created WX app, the same thing as previous tutorial videos, wx.app, which has the instance creation of WX app, which is wx.app, which is using the super statement. There is no parent parameter here, and this is the most important function of WX app, which is on init. This is where the actual instance will be created and the event loop starts running. So create the main instance of WX frame inside the on init, and we'll go for bigger width because we are having a text here, and let's 200. So just run it. So YouTube video is getting created. So the text is successfully rendered onto the screen. So this is the WX app instance. Next is WX panel, which is wx.panel, which has a super created, which has a parent, because WX panel has to be provided a parent. The parent is actually the WX frame where the WX panel will be rendered. So we created a text string, and we created a static text object. We provided that string to be a static text label text, and we provided a position of the inside the WX panel. Then we created a font object. We told the font family type should be family Swiss. This is very specific to WX Python, which is based on WX widgets. We provided a bigger font size known as 36, and we set the font to the static text, which is the WX.static text object, and we place the static text object inside the top sizer. The orientation is horizontal, and we provide the sizer to the WX panel for rendering. Then coming to WX mainframe, which is inheriting WX.frame, and we have a super statement which has the parent, and parent is set to none, but for panel the parent has to be provided, which is WX frame. So there is no default argument called parent equals none. So we took a local path, and where the current file is, we have a directory called images, which has the PNG image called shield. Usually, typically industry standard image files are JPEG and PNG. You can also use BMP on Windows, and we created a WX.icon with that file path and set it to set icon, which has the icon in the sense the image will appear on the left hand top corner of the window. So this is where the icon. This is where the left hand top corner, this is where the icon will be set. This is what set icon will do. You can put any image you want as per necessity. Okay, and then we created a panel instance, and we put that panel instance inside the box sizer. Where orientation is horizontal, we took the top sizer and put it as given as set sizer for WX mainframe. So now the panel will be rendered onto its parent called WX mainframe. So we successfully rendered the text. So YouTube video is getting created. So that's all for this tutorial video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for staying with me for such a long time and watching this video to the very end. Please stay tuned for additional videos coming for WxPython, which is WxPython 4 with codename Phoenix from ulsisoft.com. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Bye.